Jimin disappears mysteriously. After leaving a haunting letter for Jungkook, its contents shatter him. What was written that made him fall apart? He's gone, Jungkook. He left this, and nothing else. The words echoed inside the dimly lit dorm room, thick with silence and the scent of rain-soaked clothes. Taehyung's trembling hand held a crumpled envelope creased, damp at the corners. Ink smudged, as if someone had cried over it. Jungkook stared at it, not moving, not breathing. The room was a mess of half-packed bags, a toppled chair, a cracked phone screen blinking dimly on the floor, and that suffocating stillness that follows a storm. Jimin was gone, not answering calls. Not at the studio, not anywhere. Jungkook reached for the letter as if it might burn him. His fingers hesitated at the paper's edge. Why would he write a letter? Why not just say goodbye? Why now? He unfolded it slowly. The handwriting was unmistakably Jimin's neat, almost gentle. The first words broke something deep inside him. If you're reading this, I'm already gone. Jungkook staggered back, the paper rattling in his hands. Taehyung turned away, unable to watch as Jungkook collapsed onto the edge of the bed, gripping the letter like it was the only thing keeping Jimin tethered to the earth. Rain lashed against the windows, but the thunder outside was nothing compared to the storm now tearing through Jungkook's chest. The letter didn't explain where Jimin went. Not exactly. It wasn't a suicide note. It wasn't a confession. It was something worse, something in between, filled with grief-soaked words, apologies that felt too final, and phrases that danced around the truth without ever giving it. I'm not who you think I am. There are things I've hidden. Things I'm ashamed of. You deserve to live in the light. I can't stay in it anymore. Jungkook read it again, then again, and again. Every sentence was a puzzle, every line a slap. By the fifth read, his hands were shaking so hard he could barely keep the paper still. Memories crashed over him, Jimin laughing under stage lights, Jimin staying up late to rehearse his vocals, Jimin sitting beside him on the rooftop in winter, saying nothing but saying everything. He should have seen the signs. Later that night, Jungkook found himself in Jimin's room. It still smelled like him, lavender and burnt coffee. Everything was untouched. The bed was made. His favorite hoodie still hung from the chair. A sketchbook lay open on the desk, filled with half-drawn faces and abandoned ideas, but something felt wrong. The mirrors were all covered with black cloth. That detail stopped Jungkook cold. Jimin never did that. He liked mirrors. He was always adjusting his hair, rehearsing choreography, checking outfits. Covering them felt symbolic, almost ritualistic. He pulled the cloth off one. His own reflection stared back at him, pale and wild-eyed. And behind him, just for a second, he thought he saw someone standing in the doorway. He spun around. Nothing. 2 days passed. No word, no signs, no transactions on Jimin's cards. His phone signal last pinged near the ocean, then went dead. Police were hesitant to treat it as a missing person case. He was an adult. He left on his own. But Jungkook knew something was wrong. He could feel it under his skin. In the way Jimin's voice echoed in his head when he tried to sleep. In the way the letter seemed to shift meanings every time he read it. You once said I was the strongest person you knew. But I was only strong because I had you to believe in me. The last line was scratched out, then rewritten, then scratched out again. The nightmares started on the third night. He dreamed of a hallway with no doors, just mirrors, hundreds of them, lining both sides. In each reflection, he saw himself. And Jimin. And versions of Jimin, some smiling, some crying, some with blank eyes like broken dolls. He ran. No exit, no end, and always, at the center of the dream, a voice whispering the same thing. Find me before it's too late. Jungkook woke up screaming. By the end of the week, he was unraveling. No one knew how to reach him. Not Namjoon, not Yoongi, not even Taehyung, who'd started sleeping on Jungkook's couch just to keep him from falling apart completely. He stopped eating, stopped speaking unless absolutely necessary. But he kept reading the letter, obsessing over it, analyzing every word, every smudge, every indentation in the paper as if it might reveal a hidden message. Then he found it. Under a desk drawer in Jimin's room, taped beneath a false bottom, there was another envelope. Smaller, older, dated a year ago. Inside, a photo of the two of them, and a single sentence written on the back in shaky ink. If I disappear, It's because the truth finally caught up with me. Jungkook stared at the words until the ink blurred. The truth. What truth? What had Jimin been hiding all this time? And who or what had finally come to collect? The room had stopped spinning, but only barely. Jungkook's hands were still clenched tight around the photo. His knuckles were white, nails digging into his palm until it almost bled. The sentence on the back, "If I disappear, it's because the truth finally caught up with me," echoed louder than the thunder crashing outside. His mind ran in circles. What truth? What could Jimin, the most tender, the most honest person he knew, be hiding so deeply it could drive him to vanish without a word, without him? Downstairs, Taehyung was pacing the living room, his phone pressed to his ear. "No, Hyung. Still nothing. We've checked everything. Airport cameras, bank activity, even train stations. It's like he evaporated." Pause. "I know, but Jungkook's not okay. He's not sleeping, he's not eating. He found something. A second letter." Jungkook couldn't hear the rest. He walked to the bathroom, stared at his reflection. Black circles under his eyes. A haunted hollowness he didn't recognize. He looked like someone who died a little and hadn't told anyone yet. He leaned over the sink and whispered, "Where are you, Jimin?" Then, as if summoned, his phone vibrated. No caller ID. His heartbeat slammed. He answered immediately, breath caught in his throat. "Hello?" No sound. Then, static. And in that crackling silence, a voice. Soft. Almost too soft. "Jeon Jungkook." His spine went stiff. "Who is this?" he demanded. The static sharpened, twisted into something mechanical, something distorted. "You're asking the wrong question," the voice replied, glitchy and low. "You should ask, what am I?" The call dropped. Jungkook stood frozen, the silence deafening. He stared at the screen. No history, no trace. The number didn't exist. He rushed downstairs. "Someone just called me," Jungkook said, eyes wild. "They said my name, but it wasn't Jimin. It wasn't human." Taehyung's expression darkened. "You're not sleeping enough. You're hearing things." "I know what I heard," Jungkook snapped, louder than he meant. "Don't act like I'm losing it." Silence. Thick. Uncomfortable. Taehyung looked away. "Then what are you going to do?" "I'm going to find him, no matter what it takes." He didn't wait for an answer. He grabbed his coat and keys, heading for the door. "Where the hell are you even going?" Taehyung called after him. "To where his phone last pinged," Jungkook said. "To the coast." The road to the ocean was long and drenched in gray. Fog curling across the highway like smoke from a dying fire. Jungkook didn't remember driving half of it. His mind was a chaos of memory fragments. Jimin laughing on a beach trip 3 summers ago. Jimin crying quietly during a fight no one else noticed. Jimin whispering late at night, "Sometimes I feel like I'm not really here." He reached the cliffside just as the rain started. The ocean roared below, black and endless. And on the edge of the cliff, Jungkook saw something. A figure. Still, facing the sea. He slammed the brakes, heart in his throat, ran toward it. But it wasn't Jimin. It was a woman, tall, in a long black coat, hood covering her face. She didn't move as he approached, but the air around her felt electric charged, like something unnatural hummed beneath her skin. "Who are you?" Jungkook demanded. She turned, slowly. Pale face, eyes like glass. "You shouldn't be here," she said. "Do you know where he is?" Jungkook stepped forward. "Do you know where Jimin went?" The woman tilted her head. "You should be careful what you wish to find. Don't play with me." Jungkook growled, his voice breaking. "Tell me." She stepped aside. Behind her, buried beneath wet rocks, was something that gleamed in the fading light, a chain. A silver one. With a pendant Jungkook knew too well. Jimin's. Jungkook dropped to his knees, digging frantically. His hands scraped against stone, mud, blood. He pulled out the chain, and then a flash. Not lightning. Memory. The night before Jimin disappeared. A fight. Jimin had come to his room, eyes red. He tried to speak. Jungkook had been cold, closed off. Tired of the tension neither of them named. "I'm not who you think I am," Jimin had said then too. And Jungkook had snapped, "Then who the hell are you, Jimin? Because I'm tired of walking on eggshells around you." Silence. Jimin had turned away, whispered, "You'll find out soon enough." And now this. The woman was gone, like mist. Jungkook stood there, alone on the cliff, the necklace in his fist. Later that night, he sat in a cheap motel, soaked and shaking. He opened the envelope again, studied the pen pressure, the rhythm of the writing. That's when he noticed something strange. On the letter's back, faint as a breath, there was something. He held it under the motel's lamp. Invisible ink, a symbol, circular, strange, almost ancient. And underneath it, coordinates. Jungkook's heart pounded. He grabbed his phone, entered the coordinates. They pointed to a place deep in the mountains, a remote research facility that had been shut down 10 years ago. He laughed bitterly. Jimin, what the hell have you gotten yourself into? He looked at the letter again. The final line shimmered in the light, no longer hidden. If you go looking for me, you won't find just me. You'll find what I tried to bury. Tears welled up in Jungkook's eyes. But he didn't let them fall. He had a location now, and he was going. Alone, if he had to. But one thing was certain. This wasn't just about a disappearance anymore. It was about truth. And the monster hiding inside it. The rain hadn't stopped. It came down harder the closer Jungkook got to the mountains, as if nature itself was warning him to turn back. The road narrowed, the GPS signal flickered, and the coordinates kept leading him deeper into places that didn't look like they'd been touched by humanity in years. By the time he reached the rusted gate with the faded words, "Restricted area, Ghost property," it was nearly midnight. Jungkook stepped out of the car and felt the wind whip his soaked hoodie to his skin. He stared at the chained fence in front of him, heart pounding. He wasn't supposed to be here. No one was. This place had been buried in bureaucratic silence and rumors, a failed government research site, allegedly shut down after a fire. But now, it was breathing again, whispering. He climbed over the gate. Each step past it felt like crossing into another world. The air was thicker, the trees unnaturally still. And then, he saw it. The building, a fortress of concrete and steel, broken windows like dead eyes staring at him. It looked abandoned, but Jungkook felt watched. The door was unlocked. It creaked open, revealing a long corridor lined with flickering lights. Not completely dead then. Somewhere, something was still alive in this place. As he moved inside, his phone buzzed. He pulled it out instinctively. A message. Unknown number. You really shouldn't have come. He froze, his breath caught. Then, another message. But since you did, follow the lights. Jungkook's mouth went dry. At the far end of the hallway, a single bulb blinked. Once, twice, then glowed steadily. I swear to God, Jimin, Jungkook muttered under his breath. If this is some sick game, I'm going to kill you myself. He walked. The halls twisted. Stairs descended. The walls were marked with old medical warnings, symbols he didn't understand. At one point, he passed a broken observation room, glass shattered, restraints still hanging from a rusted chair. And finally, he heard something. A piano. Soft, melancholic, familiar. He followed it like a lifeline. It led him to a wide, domed chamber. In the center, a grand piano stood under a cracked skylight. Rain dripped from the ceiling, hitting the keys. But someone was playing it. Someone with pale skin and trembling hands. Jimin. The figure turned. It was him, alive, but not the same. His eyes were tired, sunken. His hair was longer, disheveled. He looked like he hadn't slept in days, weeks. But he smiled. You found me. Jungkook didn't move. What the fuck is going on, Jimin? Jimin's smile faded. His fingers left the keys. The silence that followed was louder than the music. You shouldn't have come, he whispered. Stop saying that! Jungkook exploded, stepping closer. Do you have any idea what you've put me through? You disappear. You leave a cryptic-ass letter. Then I get a call from some glitchy freak saying shit like, ask what I am. What the hell happened to you? Jimin stood slowly, like his body was remembering how to move. You weren't supposed to look for me, he said. I didn't want you to see me like this. Like what? Jungkook's voice cracked. Like someone who gave up? No, Jimin said, voice calm. Too calm. Like someone who was never really what you thought. They stared at each other. Years of friendship, of intimacy, of something deeper that had never been named, all crashing between them. I didn't just leave because I was scared, Jimin continued. I left because something inside me woke up. Something I thought I buried. Jungkook's chest tightened. You're not making sense. You will. Jimin reached into his coat and pulled out a small black notebook. It looked old, brittle. Everything's in here. What they did to us. What they did to me. What? Who did? Jimin didn't answer. His eyes darted to the hallway behind Jungkook. Footsteps. Heavy. Metallic. Jungkook turned. 3 men in white suits appeared from the shadows, faces hidden behind expressionless masks. One carried a syringe, another a tablet, scanning him. The third had something that looked far too much like a weapon. Jimin stepped in front of Jungkook. No, he said. He's not part of this. The one with the scanner replied in a static-filled voice. He knows now. That makes him a liability. Touch him, Jimin said quietly, and I'll show you what I've become. The men hesitated. Jungkook grabbed Jimin's arm. What is this? Who are they? Cleaners, Jimin said. They work for the program that made me. That made others. What do you mean made? Jimin turned to him. I wasn't born like you, Jungkook. I was engineered. The world tilted under Jungkook's feet. What? I'm not fully human. I'm a hybrid, Jimin said. A prototype. Part of a military-funded experiment to create enhanced beings. Emotionally adaptable. Physically superior. Psychologically bonded to human anchors. Jungkook stepped back. That's not possible. I escaped when I was 10. They erased everything. Reintegrated me into society. Monitored me from a distance. BTS was perfect cover. They knew I'd be docile around others, especially someone like you. Me? You were my anchor, Jimin whispered. You were chosen for me, to keep me stable. Jungkook laughed, but it was hollow, broken. So all of this, all we were, was manufactured? Jimin's voice trembled. No, that part was real. Everything I felt was real. The cleaners stepped forward. We have to leave, Jimin said. Now, if they take us, they'll wipe you. And me. Jungkook hesitated. Wipe memories, personalities, gone. Start fresh. They've done it before. He couldn't breathe. So much of his life, his memories with Jimin, suddenly teetered on the edge of being rewritten, erased. He didn't know what to believe anymore. But he knew one thing. He couldn't lose him again. Then let's go, Jungkook said. Jimin blinked, surprised. You're serious? I didn't come all this way to walk away. They ran. Through corridors lit by flickering red lights. Alarms blared. The ground shook. Somewhere, a siren screamed. The facility was collapsing, or being destroyed. Behind them, the cleaners gave chase. One fired. The wall beside Jungkook exploded. They dove into a maintenance shaft, slid down into darkness, breathless, bleeding. At the bottom, they emerged into a tunnel system beneath the facility. Jimin coughed, clutching his side. We're not safe yet. Jungkook pulled him up. Then let's keep moving. Jimin looked at him, pain in his eyes. I didn't want you to get dragged into this. Jungkook wiped blood from Jimin's cheek. Then you shouldn't have written that damn letter. Jimin managed a small smile. I knew you'd come. They disappeared into the tunnel's shadows, the world behind them collapsing into chaos. And ahead of them, the unknown. Jungkook could hear his own heartbeat pounding in his ears as he and Jimin sprinted down the endless, damp corridor. The flickering emergency lights overhead painted the tunnel in harsh flashes of red and white, like a strobe in hell. Water dripped from the ceiling. Pipes groaned. Behind them, the sound of boots hammering the concrete floor grew louder. Jimin suddenly grabbed his arm, yanked him into a narrow service duct, and slammed the metal grate shut behind them just in time. Through the slits, Jungkook saw the masked figures rush past. One paused, turned. Jungkook held his breath. Then the man moved on. They waited in silence, crouched in the tight, foul-smelling crawl space, the air thick with rust and mildew. Jimin was bleeding from a cut just below his ribs, his face pale but focused. Jungkook watched him, eyes burning not from exhaustion, but from the 1,000 questions ripping through his head. You said I was your anchor, Jungkook whispered hoarsely. That they chose me. You're saying my whole life, everything I believed was real, wasn't mine? No, Jimin replied quietly. I'm saying they tried to manipulate fate, but they didn't account for one thing. What? That I would fall for you on my own. Jungkook stared at him. You're serious? I wish I weren't. Jimin's breath hitched as he shifted his weight, wincing. They engineered my empathy. They fine-tuned my instincts to sync with someone whose psychological profile matched mine perfectly. But love, what I felt for you, wasn't in the design. Jungkook wanted to scream. He wanted to punch something. Anything. He didn't know if he wanted to pull Jimin into a hug or shake him until the truth spilled out like broken circuits. God, Jimin, he hissed. I trusted you. I trusted you more than anyone in my entire life. And now, I don't even know who the fuck you are. I didn't lie, Jimin said, meeting his gaze. I just didn't tell you everything. That's not how trust works. Jimin lowered his head. I didn't tell you because I didn't want you to see me like this. A weapon, a project, something created. I wanted to be just me, for once. Jungkook clenched his jaw. You don't get to choose that now, not after dragging me into this. I didn't drag you, Jimin's voice sharpened. You followed me. You read the letter. You chased me into this nightmare. That was your choice. I chased you because I thought you were in danger, Jungkook snapped. Because I love you, you idiot. The words echoed between them like a gunshot. Jimin's eyes widened. You, what? Jungkook looked away, breath shaky. Yeah, guess the experiment worked after all. He laughed bitterly, wiping a hand down his face. Or maybe it's just me being a dumb human again. Falling in love with someone who was genetically programmed to mimic emotion. Don't, Jimin said sharply. Don't you dare reduce me to that. I don't know what you are, Jimin, Jungkook shot back. Do you? Silence. Jimin closed his eyes. No, I don't. The sound of another explosion rocked the tunnel, shaking dust from the ceiling. The metal duct groaned around them. We need to move, Jimin said, regaining his composure. There's an extraction point ahead, a contact, someone who can get us out of the city, but they won't wait forever. Jungkook crawled after him, the silence between them heavy and raw. He didn't know if the ache in his chest was from betrayal, heartbreak, or fear. Probably all of them, probably worse. When they emerged from the duct, it was into an underground parking structure. Long abandoned, cracked concrete, half flooded. A figure waited by an old armored truck, arms crossed, a cigarette glowing in the dark. She was older, sharp eyes, military posture, a scar cut diagonally across her jaw. You're late, she said. Her voice was gravel and steel. Jimin limped toward her. Didn't know they were still tracking me. They never stopped tracking you. The woman flicked her cigarette away. And now you've brought a civilian. He's not just... Jimin paused. He's with me. The woman narrowed her eyes at Jungkook. I've seen his file. You sure about this, Park? Jungkook stepped forward. He doesn't get to decide that. I'm here. Deal with it. She smirked. Feisty. Who are you? Jungkook demanded. Colonel Min-hae, she said. Ex-Project Eclipse handler. Retired after they started using kids like Jimin to test personality. Fragmentation drugs. I smuggled 2 of them out. Jimin was one. Jungkook's stomach dropped. There were others? Jimin looked down. Most didn't survive, the colonel said grimly. Some went rogue. Some got recycled. Recycled? Jungkook repeated. You don't want to know. They climbed into the truck. Jimin sat quietly, staring at nothing. Jungkook kept looking at him, trying to see the difference between the boy he once knew and the man now unraveling beside him. When the truck roared to life, Jungkook finally asked, Why now? Why run now? Why not tell me sooner? Jimin turned to him, expression unreadable. Because something inside me woke up. A memory. A program. I don't know. But it's changing me. I can feel it. Changing how? Jimin looked down at his hands. I blacked out 2 weeks ago. When I came to, I was standing over a man. He was bleeding. I don't know what I did, or why I did it. I was afraid you'd be next. Jungkook swallowed hard. I didn't leave to protect myself, Jimin said, voice cracking. I left to protect you. The truck turned down a long road through a forest. The colonel kept her eyes on the rearview mirror. Then, without warning, A flash of light exploded ahead. The truck flipped. Metal screamed. Glass shattered. Silence. Smoke. Jungkook groaned, blood in his mouth. Vision spinning. He looked over. Jimin was unconscious, bleeding. The colonel was gone. And outside, through the smoke, the cleaners were back. But this time, they weren't alone. Beside them stood another figure. Same height as Jimin. Same face. But the eyes, dead. Emotionless. It was another Jimin. A perfect clone. Smiling coldly. "Hello, brother," he said. Jungkook's heart stopped. Everything he thought he knew had just shattered again. And this time, it wasn't Jimin who had been lying. It was someone else wearing his face. Jungkook's lungs were screaming for air as he crawled out of the wrecked truck, one hand pressed against his forehead, warm blood seeping between his fingers. The world was spinning trees bent sideways, smoke curling in the air like fingers trying to strangle the sky, and fire dancing along the crushed metal of the vehicle behind him. But none of it mattered. Not the pain, not the ringing in his ears, not the blood in his mouth. What mattered was the thing, the person standing in front of him. Not Jimin, but it was Jimin. Identical, down to the small scar on his collarbone, the way he cocked his head, the way he smiled with only one side of his mouth. But his eyes, those weren't Jimin's eyes. They were glassy, cold, calculated. A mirror without a soul. "What the hell are you?" Jungkook rasped, stumbling to his feet. The duplicate stepped closer, boots crunching broken glass and gravel beneath him. "I'm what he was supposed to become," he said, his voice eerily calm. "I'm the perfected version." Jungkook looked toward the truck. Jimin was still inside, half conscious, blood trickling from a gash on his temple. He was trying to move but couldn't. "You're a clone," Jungkook said, his voice low. The double smirked. "Not a clone. A refinement. You see, Project Eclipse didn't stop when they lost him. They just started from scratch. Improved the flaws. Removed the variables." "Flaws?" Jungkook snapped. "You mean feelings? That's what made him human. That's what made him weak." Jungkook clenched his fists. "And yet, here you are needing to confront him. Why? What is this?" The double didn't answer right away. He looked toward the wreckage, then back to Jungkook. "Because he's the last broken link in the chain. His failure is a stain on the program. My existence is proof that he was a mistake." "You talk like you're reading from a fucking manual," Jungkook growled. Behind him, Jimin coughed. He was pulling himself out of the wreck now, slow and trembling, but alive. "Don't listen to him," he said, voice hoarse. "He's not real." The double raised an eyebrow. "That's rich, coming from you." "Whatever you are," Jimin said, steadying himself against the wreck. "You're not me. You're what they wanted me to be before I escaped. But I chose something else." Jungkook looked between them. The tension in the air was unbearable, like something ancient and electric was about to snap. The double stepped forward. "I was created without emotion, without pain, without memory. They gave me one mission. Eliminate the anomaly. That's you, Jimin." "Try it," Jimin spat. And suddenly, they were on each other. It wasn't a fight. It was a collision, raw, primal, terrifying. The double moved like a machine, precision strikes, zero hesitation. Jimin was faster than Jungkook had ever seen him, but he was bleeding, off balance, still human. Jungkook watched, heart in his throat, as the two versions of the same person became a blur of fists and fury in the firelight. The double slammed Jimin against a tree, grabbing his throat. "You could have been a god," he hissed, "but you chose to feel." Jimin's hand shot up, driving a broken piece of mirror into the double's shoulder. "And I'd choose it again." The double recoiled, stepping back, eyes flickering not with pain, but confusion. Jungkook moved. Without thinking, he grabbed a metal rod from the wreckage and drove it hard into the back of the double's knee. The double went down, snarling like an animal. "Get in the truck," Jimin shouted. Jungkook grabbed his arm. "The truck's totaled!" "No, her truck." Jimin pointed across the road where a second vehicle, Colonel Min's backup, was half hidden by trees. She always had a second escape. Together, they ran. The double rose behind them, eyes now glowing faintly with something inhuman. He started forward and was met by a hail of gunfire. Colonel Min, bleeding from a wound in her thigh, leaned against a tree, and unloaded the last of her clip into the double's chest. The clone dropped, smoke rising from his body. But even as he fell, his voice whispered, "There are more of me." They didn't look back. Inside the new truck, Jimin took the wheel, his hands shaking. Jungkook sat beside him, panting, staring at him like he was a stranger and home at once. "You fought him like you knew how he moved," Jungkook said after a long silence. "Like you remembered." Jimin nodded slowly. "Because I do. I remember being him. That was who I almost became." Jungkook looked down at his hands. "They made you to be a weapon. But you chose love." "Don't make me a hero," Jimin said quietly. "I'm still not sure what I am." "You're Jimin," Jungkook said. "That's enough for me." Jimin looked over, his eyes wet. "Even now? After everything?" "I don't care where you came from," Jungkook said. "I care where you stand. And you're still standing beside me." Jimin didn't speak, but he reached over, and he took Jungkook's hand. They drove into the night. Behind them, the forest burned. The double's body smoldered. The cleaners vanished into the smoke. But deep underground, in a lab neither of them had ever seen, rows of tanks flickered to life. Inside each, a face, the same face, Jimin's, sleeping, waiting, and one of them opened its eyes. The hum of the road was the only sound between them as the truck sped down the winding highway. The forest thinned. City lights glowed faintly in the distance, but the silence inside the vehicle was suffocating. Jungkook stared ahead, jaw clenched, one hand gripping the door handle like it might anchor him to reality. Jimin drove with blood-stained knuckles and trembling shoulders, refusing to meet Jungkook's gaze. "You could have told me," Jungkook said finally, voice low. "Back then, before any of this exploded, you could have said something." "I didn't know how," Jimin answered, without looking at him. "No," Jungkook said louder. "You chose not to." Jimin's hands tightened on the steering wheel. "I was trying to protect you." "From what?" Jungkook snapped. "From the truth? From you? You think I'm that weak?" "No," Jimin whispered. "I think I'm that dangerous." The truck veered slightly before Jimin corrected it, breathing hard. "You saw what he was. That version of me. That wasn't a one-off. That wasn't some freak result. That's the default setting. That's what I was built to become." "But you didn't," Jungkook shot back. "You made a choice. You're not him." "I'm afraid I might be," Jimin said quietly. "You don't know what's happening inside me. Sometimes, I dream like I'm not me anymore. Like I'm watching myself, and I feel nothing. No guilt, no warmth, just silence. Like something else is growing inside." Jungkook turned sharply to him. "Then fight it." Jimin laughed bitterly. "Like that's enough?" "Yes," Jungkook said. "Because I'm not going to let you become something you're not, and neither will you." Silence again. The truck rolled into the edge of the city, headlights catching the wet asphalt in long, sweeping reflections. It was close to dawn. The world was still asleep, but something in the air felt wrong, off. Colonel Min's safe house was a small apartment above a noodle shop in a rundown neighborhood. The back entrance opened with a 4-digit code Jimin remembered from years ago, 2012, the year he escaped. They climbed the stairs in silence. Inside, the apartment was dusty, but untouched. A single overhead light buzzed as it flickered on. Weapons lined the wall. A locked server terminal blinked to life in the corner, asking for biometric access. Jimin pressed his palm to the scanner. A click. The screen glowed. Jungkook stood behind him, arms crossed. "What is this?" he asked. Jimin exhaled. "Everything." Files opened, thousands of them. Footage, documents, voice recordings, Project Eclipse, Generation Zero, Codename, Seraphim, Experimental Evolution, Emotional Patterning, Cognitive Neural Loop Testing, Target Bonding Simulations, Failed Subjects, Terminations. Jungkook's eyes widened as he read one line. Subject 13, AJ. Imprinted emotionally with civilian John Jungkook at age 16. Unauthorized but stable. Recommend observation, not correction. His stomach turned. They knew. From the start, Jimin nodded. They watched us. For years. Why didn't you destroy this? Jungkook asked. Because if I did, there'd be no record of what they did to me. To others. If we ever want to expose them, this is all we have. Jungkook clicked on a video. A grainy surveillance clip played young Jimin in a white jumpsuit, no older than 10, sitting in a sterile room. A man in a lab coat stood over him. What do you feel when you see this? The man asked. A photo was placed on the table. Jungkook, laughing. Jimin stared at it, then quietly said, "Safe." Jungkook couldn't breathe. He turned to Jimin, who was looking away. That was before we even met. They showed me your picture, Jimin said, voice cracking. They made me learn your name, your laugh, your face. They built you into me before I even had a chance to know you. Jungkook stepped back like he'd been hit. So all this time, it wasn't real. No, Jimin said quickly. It was. After I escaped, after I forgot most of what they did, you were the only thing that still felt real. You were my grounding, not because they told me, but because I chose it. But how do I know that? Jungkook asked, eyes glistening. How do I know I wasn't just part of the program? Another variable. A safety net. Because I left the program, Jimin said. I could have stayed and obeyed. I could have become what they wanted, but I ran. And the only thing I took with me was your name. Jungkook's breath shook. You think I didn't question it? Jimin said, stepping closer. You think I didn't lie awake at night wondering if I loved you because I was made to? If every hug, every look, every moment between us was just data written into me? Jungkook didn't respond. I still don't know, Jimin whispered. But I know that when I was in that room, bleeding, terrified, losing myself, you were the only thing I could remember that made me want to come back. Jungkook closed his eyes. He wanted to scream, to collapse, to kiss him, to run away. Every emotion in his chest was colliding like stars going supernova. A loud ping interrupted the moment. The server's main screen changed. Incoming transmission. Classified access level breached. What the hell? Jungkook started. Then the screen flickered, glitched, and a new face appeared. A woman, mid-40s. Hair tied back, military uniform pristine. Her face calm, but her eyes reptilian. Subject 13, she said, voice clear. I see you finally opened the vault. Jimin's breath caught. Dr. Yun. Jungkook stepped forward. Who the hell is that? She ran the project, Jimin said, frozen. She was the one who designed me. Dr. Yun's image glared out of the screen. You've wandered long enough, Jimin, and you've corrupted the asset. Jungkook's blood turned to ice. I'm the asset? Yun smiled. Do you really believe you were just some innocent boy who wandered into this? Your family was paid to raise you in proximity to Subject 13. Your school placement was orchestrated. Your career? A perfect alignment. Your personality was monitored, reinforced, molded. Jimin shouted, That's a lie. Is it? Yun tilted her head. Didn't you ever wonder why he fit you so perfectly? Jungkook stepped back from the screen like it might burn him. No, he whispered. No, that's not my parents. They wouldn't. Everyone has a price, Jungkook, Yun said coldly. Even the ones who love you. Jimin lunged forward and ripped the cables from the server, sending the screen into darkness. Jungkook didn't speak. He stood there, shaking, shattered. Jungkook, Jimin said gently. Don't listen to her. She's manipulating you. But what if she's right? Jungkook said, his voice hollow. What if I'm the experiment? You're not. You don't know that, Jungkook said, stepping away. You don't know anything anymore. I know you saved me, Jimin said. Again and again. That wasn't programming. That was you. Jungkook looked at him, tears brimming. Then save me now, he said. Because I don't know who I am anymore. Jimin took a deep breath. Then let's find out together. The room was silent. The server crackled. Somewhere, deep beneath the city, other screens lit up. Other subjects awakened. The game was far from over. And the next move would cost blood.